So what you go by is just Milo? Is that how you say it, or no? Or
Miloš,
Milos? It's just Milos?
Miloš,
Okay.
Miloš.
Okay. Where are you originally
It,
from? Born and raised?
Montenegro.
Okay. Where I'm so bad with geography, dude. You gotta
You're from the US. You guys
I
are not
know.
good with European geography.
All we know is like there's some states and like no one else has states.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
we're awful. We're awful, man. I'm sorry.
No,
You have
it's
to
good.
bear
It's
with
good. It's
me.
good. No, no, I like to educate. I like to educate. So Montenegro is a tiny little place. We are only 500,000 people,
Wow.
and we are in the Balkans. So it's like it used to be called Yugoslavia, and then it's separated in all these different republics.
Okay, sure. Okay, I
Yeah.
know generally where that is then.
Do you speak any Czech
No, I've never been
or
there.
Slovak?
It's
No,
Slovak. Yeah, I guess my
Slovak.
family would
It's
be on the
different. It's
Slovak
different.
side
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they split, but
yeah. Well, it's
yeah.
similar what happened to Yugoslavia as well. It's very similar history.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
So it was all
Yeah,
together in one, and then it kind of broke out into different countries that
yeah,
way?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not again, I need to get more educated on
Uh,
that end because like even my grandfather, I mean, I'd ask him questions and he just was like, I don't know. One of my uncles has gotten pretty into it. So
yeah.
he's trying to like do the whole genealogy and the
Okay. Well, that's fun.
ancestry.com. So I need to kind of,
Mm,
brush up on my own history through him. But
mm.
at some point I'll do
Cool.
that. So talk to me about that. Or where you grew up, was it a big music community?
No, not at all. Actually, we liked music, and music was part of our life. I actually was really close with my grandmother, and I used to love when she sang for me. And I think that that really brought love of music into my life. And then later, as a child, I was just drawn to it. I always liked to sing. I went to the choir. I was later started playing the guitar, and never really thought that my life would become life in classical music, because I had no concept of that whatsoever.
Mhm.
So so it was just lucky. But my parents were very supportive. They liked when I played for them. Their friends liked when I played for them. So those early experiences of performing were like really linked to family and being together, and
Mhm.
this wonderful sense of love and community.
Mhm. I love that.
Um, hmm.
I mean, obviously you're exceptionally talented. Was that something that you realized early on, that you just had like a knack for being an amazing guitar player?
Well, I I just felt like a very deep connection with music, and what I loved so much about it is that it was that when I played for people, people really connected to you, and you were able to talk to them on a much deeper level than you could talk to them in words.
Mhm.
And at that time in Yugoslavia, because it was breaking up, there was like war all around, and it was a very hard time. And I can't even imagine how it was for my parents to actually raise two boys at that time. And it's crazy. Um, and at that time, um, you have a child who likes music, and
Mhm.
and 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 that that child creates their own wonderful world, no matter what's going on outside. And what a privilege it is to understand that by just playing an instrument like the guitar, you could invite those people into your world, and you could change their life a little bit. You could give them some of that beauty when they really need it the most. and
Mhm.
and that's why, to this day, that's what inspires me, and why I love performing so much, because every time I go on stage, I really feel that way. I feel that I'm opening my world for other people, and I'm able to talk to them in the language of the language that everyone understands, and that's music.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to put it, though. A language that everyone understands. Like
Yeah.
just listening to your Blackboard record,
Yeah.
which
That's
is
fun.
amazing. I mean, I growing up as a huge Beatles fan, that's what my family was into. My sister was named Abbey after the Abbey Road record. I've
Oh,
said
really?
this
Wow.
before.
That's where I
Yes.
record all the time.
Oh, do
Yeah.
you really? Abbey Road
Yeah.
Studios.
Yeah. That's right. Because
Wow.
I've lived in London for 21 years. And
Okay.
now, because of COVID, I'm like hiding in my bedroom to give interviews with the US.
Wow. So are you mainly more of a studio musician guy? Because I know
No,
you
no, 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 no,
okay.
no. I mean, I love the studio, but it's two very different things. Because like
Mhm.
when you are in the studio, you take your opportunity and time to create amazing things, because when
Mhm.
you put it out there, and when it's like putting a picture on the wall, it's like it's so special because you can take time to create colors and make it, you're setting it in stone. And when you are playing live, it's an unrepeatable moment in time. And for that reason, it's amazing because you take the energy of your audience, of the people in front. It's so different. And I love both experiences very much. And I prepare in two very different ways for it.
Yeah, I would imagine that it'd be quite a
Mm.
different. So, talking about the difference between, well, going back to the Blackbird record, um, so this you're talking about how music and it's a language everyone understands, and that being said, like you said, I mean, you can put on a Beatles record or the versions that you did, and there's not the lyrics aren't even there. It's just all instrumental, and it's just so beautiful. And I in my head I can hear the song and hear the lyrics, and it's just such a fascinating way to put it. It's like math,
Yeah.
it's always
Yeah.
the same no matter what language you speak or don't speak.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I like about it, because these songs are such classic music, and they've been around for decades, and they are loved by people all over the world. And you don't need much to understand and to love them. And different people connect because of different things. So I just thought that on the guitar there are some of these songs that would form really beautiful pieces, and that some of the arrangements could become part of the guitar repertoire. So I worked for a very long time in order to understand which songs work, which don't, how to create different layers, which guests to invite, which kind of approaches to take, because when you're doing something like that, the possibilities are endless because there's so much you can do. But at
Mhm.
the same time, you have to stay true to the songs because there are so many millions and millions of people around the world that love those songs. So if you're doing it, you need to give them a different flavor while respecting all that they are. And that was a brilliant process. And actually, we recorded that album in the Abbey Road,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
in the same studio where Beatles did their things.
Yeah.
And actually we even used some of the original microphones that they were using in their sessions. So
No
we
way.
had their microphones, we had our microphones, we were like placing them everywhere using the same thing. It was very special. There was like, it was, you could really feel the spirit of these guys there. It was really there. There was a piano that they used on one of the tracks. It was like all the uh, it's really amazing.
I've heard that about just going in, just having the opportunity, to go into Abbey Road Studios, and
Yeah.
like it just has this energy of
Yeah,
like
people go crazy, and it's like
like
for us, it's like we pass it every day. It's like, okay, that's Happy Road
but I've
Studios.
also heard, I forgot who I was talking to about this, but they were recording there similar, and like they're out in the back, or because it's I mean, you can't just access it, right? It's not like you can't, it's not like a museum,
No,
so to speak.
no.
You have to have like
Yeah,
a session there to go in. So
exactly.
I forgot who I was talking to about this, but they were recording there, and like they were out in the back parking lot area. There's like a back gate, I guess, and they're smoking out there or something.
Yeah.
And people, just because they were a band, they knew that they're on the other side of the gate, and they're like in like smoking or outside, like, hanging out, getting ready to go back in. People were like taking pictures, like they didn't even know who they were. They
Mm.
just knew whoever this is, they've got to be at some
Good at
level of
something.
legitimacy to be where they are, to actually
Yeah,
be on the other side of the wall. Like I
yeah, I
just
guess. Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. So obviously a Beatles fan growing up. I want to go back to earlier on in your musical journey here. So um you said your grandmother sang to you, and vocals was kind of a early instrument for you.
Yeah, I think. Well, what's the world's most perfect instrument is the human voice, and that's kind of where it all begins.
This guy with his
And
lines, man, you've got some good ones. Yeah, that's okay. So Sorry, that was a beautiful line. Go ahead.
Thank you. But it's because I think this way when I play the guitar as well, because every instrument tries to emulate the human voice. So when you play an instrument, you have to think like, how do you turn a string that you pluck on the guitar, or a key on the piano that you play, or a violin with the bow? How do you turn that into a line that would be a line of something that you would sing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that first love for human voice through my grandmother stayed with me later when I was developing my style and my way of playing the guitar, because I just love that so much.
Mm-hmm.
I started to play the guitar when I was 8 years old, and then went to a music school and developed my love for classical music even without having any concept of classical music. And then really like the Spanish pieces, the South American pieces, and I played them in school concerts, in like other big things. And as a child, I became quite well known. And it's a very small country, so very quickly people know who you are, because it's just, there are not so many people there.
Mm-hmm.
And you very quickly perform on radio and on TV, and you build those experiences. So when I came to London to study, I was 17. So I came with all those wonderful memories of having an opportunity to perform for a lot of people in Montenegro, and where I wasn't judged, where I was just, there, and I was playing, and I did it because it made me incredibly happy. And now I was in London, and suddenly I was like in the center of the world, where like I'm learning at the Royal Academy of Music. I have the best teachers, I have the best students around me. Everyone is brilliant. Like, there's so many talented kids, and you have to find yourself. But the way you find yourself is by just remembering why you're there in the first place. And I was there because I wanted to be the best guitarist I could possibly be, not anyone else, but just
Mm-hmm.
me. And I wanted to then share that love with people around me.
And with that, so you went to school for music, obviously guitar. Did
Yeah,
you was there, like, how early on did you start going to music school? I mean, you're talking about being on TV and playing on a radio for the first time.
yeah.
Like, how old were you when those first doors started opening for you?
Well, I started to play when I was 8, and then maybe a few months later, I was playing the first open performance class, or
Sure.
it went really quickly, because in a place like Montenegro, you get those opportunities quickly because people want to enjoy what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see it like doors opening or closing. It's just the way it is. And I think that was a very liberating thing, that I never felt any pressure being a musician. I felt like I was doing it because it's my calling, and it's not really my profession. So to actually build a profession out of something that is your calling from so early on it's a really great thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure.
Are
And
you musical? Do you play any instruments?
I can poorly play the guitar, and
Okay.
kind of tinker around on the piano, and but I'm no, I come from, as a music lover. I soon realized that was not my calling, and I prefer to be on the other side of the. I cut my way into the industry through music, and as far as like radio, I was on the radio for 16 years in the United
Wow.
States, and so that's kind of where my background comes. But as a music lover, I love to hear people's journeys and like how
Yeah, of
they
course.
got to, like, I mean, to do that, because there's so many. I mean, there's millions upon millions of kids sitting in their bedroom right now playing guitar and trying to figure out how,
Mm,
you know, Miloš got to record at Abbey Road Studios, and like those stories are fascinating to me.
mm. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I work with a lot of youngsters. I really enjoy talking to young guitarists and young musicians. And actually, yesterday I did a masterclass. I support this organization called Awards for Young Musicians, which gives scholarships to young kids,
Mm-hmm.
gives opportunities in music to young children. And I love that. It gives me so much back, because um, if I, as a young boy, didn't discover guitar, my life would have been very different. And I'm so grateful for every opportunity that I was given as a result of music.
Mm-hmm. So that's, and is that what, like, when I'm looking on your Spotify, for example, you have different records on here, like, you know,
Yeah.
exam pieces,
Oh, that was
2019, grade
different.
5.
That was when I was a student. So
Oh, that's
so
that's
the
actually you playing at those early ages?
well, no, that's we have this system called Associated Board for of the Royal Schools of Music, where students take exams, and there are 8 grades. And at the time when I was still a student at the Royal Academy of Music, I was approached by them to record some of those pieces so that the kids who are learning would be able to hear what the pieces sound like. So it's really funny that
Wow.
now when you go on Spotify, it comes out amongst all of my Universal Music recordings that are like
Right.
super polished, high end, and it's like, and then it comes like pieces for kids which are grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and it's a lot of fun.
But that's really cool. Like to have those like to have those recordings from, so those were, that's actually you playing back when in grade
Yeah,
4, 5,
when I
6.
was younger. Yeah,
I mean that's
absolutely.
pretty special to have, right?
Mm, yeah, I guess.
I guess he says. Well, okay. Well, I want to talk to you, but mainly what you've, are you a songwriter as well, or is it mainly
No,
just
no, I'm not good at that. I just find so much pleasure in playing um, pieces of classical music because there is so much in those pieces, and to think that Bach wrote those pieces 300 years ago, and
right?
that they are still as magical as ever, and that they inspire people after so many centuries. It's extraordinary. I find a lot of inspiration in that.
Yeah, and collaboration is big on your. It looks like
Yeah,
on as far as you
yeah.
as a
I've
musician.
collaborated with some really cool artists. Like it was um, classical artists, my colleagues, but also people like Gregory Porter, who I really love,
Yeah,
and
Tori Amos.
Tori Amos, Anushka Shankar. She's a sitar player, incredible, very good friend
Yeah,
of mine. And yeah, so it's been an amazing thing. Like for the last 10 years, I've been recording and really living my dream.
that's so amazing. With the
Mm.
pandemic, and I mean, as a
Oh
live
yeah.
performer and a studio musician, and talk to me about where you were when that all kind of happened, and how that, aside from the total nightmare it
Um,
is, and
yeah.
how scary it was, like what it directly affecting you, like how did that affect your work?
Well, it's very strange to be at home for a year, and when when I was just before it broke out and before the country was locked down in mid-March last year, I was actually in the States for almost 2 months. I was playing all around the place, and everywhere I went, because it came there a bit later. So everywhere I went, there was not even talking about it. And then I would leave, and then suddenly there would be a case that came from somewhere, and then it would be panic, and then the next place would be same thing. So for about 2 months I was kind of escaping it and still playing all the concerts, and then when I played the last one, it was really obvious that it was coming and it was going to be really dramatic. um, so I flew back home, and luckily I was healthy, didn't catch it. I was really lucky. um, and 1 year later, we are still here. But somehow things are starting to move. And I think in the US, you're also doing very well with the vaccinations. And here in the
Yeah.
UK, we've done really well as well. So
Mhm.
we're all having hope that summer will look different.
Yeah, they're saying. I mean, I'm just looking at festivals that are opening up. I know they announced like Outside Lands in San Francisco for the end of October, and Bonnaroo and Tennessee, where I'm at, is supposed to happen at the beginning of September. So
Yeah,
that's kind of hopeful. I mean, getting 100,000 people together is kind of a big move,
yeah,
and especially considering the sense that everyone's been
yeah.
stuck inside for so long, and
I know. God,
seeing tours
like,
announced, which is pretty cool.
yeah. But I'm having also, it's really very reassuring to see that there are things coming back into the calendar. There are things being rescheduled. It's looking much better now. And that makes
Mhm.
me really happy. I think we musicians, we need it. We don't live if we are not performing. It's like not eating. It's a very different uh, sense of existence when you are not allowed to share your music with people.
Sure. Sure. And with that, like this collaborations is the most recent thing I'm seeing on your Spotify, which is a lot of Beatles songs. Or
Yeah,
was
the
that all part?
collaboration, that's like a collection of different things over the years,
Okay.
and we've I think Spotify just launched that themselves to kind of explore different areas of what I've been doing over the last 10 years.
Okay. So what is your
And
most
now,
recent thing that you've worked? What were you working on right before it all kind of stopped?
so I just released an album with two concertos for guitar and orchestra. One piece was written by Howard Shore. Do you know Howard Shore? He wrote the music for all the Lord of the Rings and
Oh,
Hobbits,
okay.
and
I was gonna say the name
like
sounds super familiar. Now it clicks. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
he's incredible. And he wrote me a piece which is just released at the end of April. And I'm very happy because it's so important for me to extend the repertoire. Guitar is a very young instrument.
Mhm.
It needs new music, and when you have guys like Howard's writing for this instrument, it really means something. And he wrote me a beautiful piece he called The Forest. And it's been a wonderful thing to work on because it's a programmatic piece. It's inspired by nature, and especially now during the pandemic, we all go back to the nature and kind of connecting with the world around us. And and where I come from, there is so much spectacular nature, and having that um, put in a piece, and it's a piece that's written for you, and it's part of your soul, and it's out there, and the world premiere. It's very exciting. Um, and then there's another piece on it. It's a young British composer called Joby Talbot, and he wrote lots of ballets and operas and things. And that's just a completely different ball game. It's like a completely wild piece with incredible techniques and very exciting passages. And so I was busy with that during the pandemic. Like
Mhm.
we recorded the orchestral parts before, but then I was recording some of my parts during the pandemic, and because we were allowed to go into a studio if we wanted to from time to time. So it was an interesting time. How was it for you?
It's been all right. Well, actually,
Yeah.
we just moved. We are in California. Just moved
Okay.
to Nashville
Hmm.
within the past month, so it's a little bit more open here than it was where I was in San Diego.
Oh, I
But
love San Diego, but I know it's been tough there because I have friends there.
yeah, it's been rough. So my both my wife and my family are still there. But yeah, we moved to Tennessee and it's a little bit more open. We're kind of in more of a suburbs
Hmm.
town, and it's
Tennessee,
been
like you have good whiskey there.
yeah, that's where yeah, Jack Daniels and all that is here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's definitely different. I mean, it's been rough. I have two kids, and just watching them kind of be stuck inside, and not being able to go to school, and just like these horror stories of kids that are going to be graduating high school or going to college, and then all that kind of ripped the rug ripped from under them, and it's been rough, man. I mean,
Mm,
it's good to see that stuff is starting
yeah,
to open up though. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, well, and hopefully that were you able to actually finish your U.S. tour here, or
Yes, I
were
was.
oh,
Actually,
okay.
it was I finished it to the last concert, and then as soon as I finished it all was over. So now it's good to see that in the calendar, lots of things are popping up again.
Hmm.
So in July, I have concerts here in the UK and around Europe. I was going to come stateside, but those festivals were cancelled and postponed for next year.
Hmm.
But I'll be coming to the US in October, November, I hope.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Well, we'll have to
yeah,
catch you when you come on through. When you
yeah.
choose your set, do you have to make that like specific towards the audience or the festival or whatever you're playing, for example? Like, do you go out and do the Blackbird record that you put out, or do you go out and play different pieces of different projects you've been a part of?
Well, it depends. Like sometimes, if it's a specific place, then yes, I think then you curate a program that is appropriate for that. And
Hmm.
if I'm on tour, then I usually have a program or two programs that I play. Um, every other night or every night sometimes, depending how far the distances are. And the US is big, for example, so it's always good to have a day in between for travel. Um, so it's a combination of things, and as a situation asks you to do so, nothing is really set in stone, because I even sometimes change pieces last minute, and sometimes I'm inspired by something I've seen, or it's just a way we do things.
Sure. Right on. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for doing this. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
nice to chat.
Yeah. I have one more question for you. I know you have been dropping some amazing things throughout this whole conversation, but I'd love to hear if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Yeah, I mean, my main advice for aspiring artists is to really believe in their own unique voice and to never compare themselves to anyone else, because I think the best version of who you are is the best thing. And I think having that sort of belief to find that person and to find that artist is going to take you a long way. Um, I think that that's one of the reasons why I was successful. It was because I was focused on what I could do and on the love that I had for what I was doing. And that's all you need.